So this video is just a reminder of what we talked about on Monday regarding the pruning and other things. This is block 1, and basically on this block, still very dormant, what they said. We are just gonna do quad cane pruning, which means we're gonna do the same thing we did last year, and that's lay down new wood here, cut these off, and lay down a new one. I guess probably like this one, or I don't know how they do it exactly, and let the shoots grow out of the new cane that's laid down, rather than the cordon, which is to leave this wood for year after year, and you know. Anyway, so that's what they're going to do here. Very straightforward. 4 canes if they can get them. Here's a good example. It'll look just like this again. That seemed to do really well last year. Yeah, and they're going to start that. I think we said, everybody said that they could start pruning this immediately, since this had the shatter wasn't really a problem here, and however, we wanted to wait on 2 through 7 as long as possible, in the hopes that it would push bud break a little bit farther out, which means fruit set would be pushed a little farther out, and the warmer weather, it would hopefully be a little warmer when the fruit set happens. And there was also some kind of nutrient, I don't know if it was a nutrient or a, forget what the term was for the chemical used, but something that was sprayed on that would help fruit set go a little faster. Once it starts, it would happen faster. That way, the more exposure you get, the more chance of shatter. So we probably need to ask about that too. I'll ask Tony and Glenn about that, if we want to do that, if that's something that's feasible and not, you know, safe for the vine and all that stuff. But anyway, Jeff brought, was it Jeff or Mike? Anyway, the other guy from Atlas that was here, I can't believe I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's the one that brought it up. And then these 6 experimental rows with the cross arms, we are going to wait. We're not going to change anything. Like this is one of the 6 rows that has the cross arms and the quad, you know, 3 or 4 of these laid down. Anyway, we're foregoing any changes this year until we get a good fruit count. You know, the exact tonnage of what this, you know, what we get out of this row, these 6 rows, compared to the old way we did it, which was this. It's just the 2 cordons, because it was just about the same amount of shoots. There was like 20 shoots both ways, but they seem to think we get more fruit out of this, the wires like this, the extra wire, and laying down the extra cane, just because it's more spread out. It's not as bunched up as this. It gets better sun. And then we talked about leafing sooner to get some sun on these, so they ripen a little faster. And so one thing we said was we're not gonna do any disking. We don't want to help the soil at all, because these things are so vigorous already. And we hopefully won't have to do the extra hedging that we had to do twice last year. So, but anything, that was the main thing that I remember that we needed to remember to do when we're doing harvest. We need to make sure we keep these rows separate on tonnage. And I would think it'd be per vine, pounds per vine, compared to just the dual cordon. So that's what we're gonna have to remember. And I think from now on, it's just everything, every block, like block 6, A, B, and C, separate. Just everything separate, so we know exactly what we got from which block, and don't lump any together like we did last year. We could have got this information last year on this. So anyway, probably not remembering everything here, but I think that was the main thing. So I'd probably need to mark these rows that have the cross arms here. These experiment rows. We could put something on just so we remember which ones they are, and they're easier to spot. But they are definitely the ones that have those extra cross arms, the long ones. So that compared to that. As far as the strip spray, I thought we were going to forego the strip spray. That's what Glenn had talked about that first time he came out. But now they're saying, no, we definitely need the strip spray. So I'm getting set up for that. I was getting the mule set up. I didn't think there was a hurry on it because we weren't going to do it this year. But anyway, the sprayers are hooked up. I just need to get a tank. And I would think a light spray. I mean, there's no weeds here at all, and they would already be growing them, I would think. I mean, I thought that's why we were going to wait, but anyway, I guess that's fine. So anyway, we're going to strip spray, and what we did last year is I told them not to come so far out because they were spraying. I mean, you can see where the line is. I mean, that doesn't leave you much cover crop. It's just such a big area. I told them to take it down a foot. And it looks like it kind of worked because you see a few weeds coming in this 1 foot, the second foot here. You do see some weeds starting to grow. Where the 1 foot out, you don't. So last year we sprayed to here. The 3 years prior to that, we sprayed out to here. And it just looked kind of odd that we were just. And I think the winemakers, I'm sure they see that. It's very obvious that we're spraying, spraying poison on the vines. Where if the grass is up closer, it's not as obvious, and maybe it doesn't, you don't think about it as much. I know everybody does it, but until they make a good implement that will weed this mechanically, everybody seems to still be doing this, except the organic growers. And Glenn had talked about it's not the end of the world to have a few weeds growing up near the vine. It's just up top, like in block 6, it's out of hand. The weeds are 6 foot tall. I mean, they're just growing up to here, and they're thick, and they're taking away from the vine. I know they are. Looks terrible, and they're getting in the way and bringing in more insects and all that. So there's no way I can mow it that close. I mean, that's a foot out is as close as I can get, and that's pushing it because I mean, I can do it, but it's hard to keep it straight when you're getting that close. But a foot is no problem. But getting right up against them, there's no way. So there was that. So this year, we're just pruning. There's a couple things they talked about leaving an extra, like this here. Now this is growing out from here, like leaving that to kind of pull in some of the energy away from the rest of it. Now, I don't know, this isn't a great example because this one's kind of weak. Although the shoots are pretty good here. There's a couple short ones, but like this one, but anyway, that's what they had talked about maybe trying to leave one of these here growing out just to kind of keep the vigor down. These things want to grow so heavily. That's something else we talked about. Here's a good example, this one. Of course, they did that, and this was left for an alternate in case one of these broke or didn't work. This could be laid down up there. That's what Tony was telling me. Tony and Glenn. There's another one. They're talking about leaving those. Anyway, that was another thing we talked about. So I hope this kind of refreshes your memory, and then you can throw in, if you can throw in stuff that I'm forgetting. The more we talk about this and more keep it in our minds, we can question them why they're doing it. Make sure this stuff gets done, because you know how busy they get once things get going. And then block 3 looked really good, and it's the same. They're gonna prune it just like we did last year. Yeah, I don't know if there was anything else. Cover crop was looking pretty sad in some of these rows. The rain just washed it away. And then, of course, we talked about blocks 4 and 5. But I don't think anybody was talking about doing anything anytime real soon, so just discussing it. I guess the question would be, is there anything I can do now? I usually mow that. This year I didn't get it mowed. Just too much going on, and you have to have the perfect day of fog so we don't start a fire. But anyway, besides mowing it, is there anything else I can do? We weeded this one area. We had these really bad weeds. I forgot, Mike knew what the name of them were. And we got rid of those. We need to keep on top of that. But is there anything else up here I can do? Like clear and brush, just to get started in case you ever do want to throw your signature block up here. Of course, it would be best to do any work brushing, taking trees out, any of that stuff, getting that done before anything's planted, of course. Getting in there, tearing everything up. And then, of course, getting all we have the irrigation up there, but it would have to be changed. Obviously, the rows run a different way. That would have to be changed. So